All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm on strict orders to be funny, so I'll do what I can. I wanted to just give a brief introduction about Mary and I, and maybe with the specifics on Apostolate, so that hopefully we can give you a reason why we're up here talking about it. And I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that the 16 and 50, Mary's always been at least one step ahead of me in the spiritual life, so whether it's apostolate formation, that's been consistent. And we're, those of you who know us, we're very different personalities, and we've expressed that in our apostolate, and you'll see that up here for the next 15 minutes. So what I thought, I just did a real quick inventory of all the apostolates we've done over the past 15 years, and this is kind of to give you a flavor for hopefully some of the insights we're going to give you today. We've both been team leaders, we've both been group leaders, we both were involved in the youth aspect of the movement, the Conquest and Challenge, ECYD. Mary's been a fire team member for many years, and we both did together. That's interesting if you've never done a joint apostle together.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah. Just putting this talk together was a marriage thread.
Enhancer.
Enhancer, yeah. Sanctifying event. So we did that. We ran Christian Life for the Legion across the nation, and then we did Vocation.com together. That was fun. And then my favorite apostolate was founding the Flying Pigs Drinking Society, for those of you who know that. So, and the Regnum Christi Young Men's section. So that's all of our apostolic stuff over the last 15 years. And just kind of summarizing that, those of you who did the last question in the last talk was about prayer as battle. And that really appealed to me because I think apostolate is battle too. So those of you who think that when you're done all that hard stuff in prayer and you get to do apostolic life, it's just as hard but in a different way. And creating spiritual warriors, whether it be warriors of our children or warriors in others, is really one of the advantages, one of the motivations for getting involved in spiritual life. So anyway, that's kind of a little background. I wanted to just give you what they say in sales is tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So I'm going to try to tell you what we're going to talk about within the next 13 minutes. And that is we're going to read a couple quotes from various different documents of the church and of the popes. And the reason for that is really to ground this whole concept of apostolate in the life and particularly in the guidance that comes from being a member of the church. So it isn't just something that we made up yesterday. It's really just flowing from what the church is telling everybody to do. And in particular, it's not just generic apostolate, it's what is Regnum Christi's unique mojo with regard to apostolate, because it is actually unique. And so it's not just doing what everybody should do, but it's something in addition as well. And then hopefully, and then we'll give you some insights and best practices that we've experienced in the apostolic life. And lastly, we'll conclude with a little known fact, certainly I didn't know it, about something that Pope Benedict did 2 years ago in the Vatican about apostolate, which is kind of cool. And hopefully that'll be your new fact for the day. So, you're up.
Well, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the script because I'm supposed to read the quote, and I'm supposed to read the quotes, and they're absolutely essential, but I don't think they're in the book that you have. These are ones that we found as we were reading, and it was awesome for us to read because we've been doing apostolate. We love apostolate most days, and we recognize the value of it, but it's a different thing to then take that love that you have and then actually give some real facts. And it's not, as Mike said, we're not just making it up. Regnum Christi didn't just make up apostolate. The church desires this for all of us, and gives us the means, and Regnum Christi will give us the means to persevere in it. So this is from, I cannot pronounce the Latin, but in English it's everywhere and always, and that's from Pope Benedict, right? From 2 years ago. So we're going to start and end with that because it was really, we were surprised. We actually really learned something, and this was great. So here's the quote, how he begins. It is the duty of the church to proclaim always and everywhere the gospel of Jesus Christ. He, the first and supreme evangelizer, commanded the apostles on the day of his ascension to the Father. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. Hence, the mission of evangelization, a continuation of the work desired by the Lord Jesus, is necessary for the church. It cannot be overlooked. It is an expression of her very nature. So apostolate and working and spreading the gospel is our mission, and it comes from Christ, and so we're just following in the footsteps of apostles. So I know, so this is where I'm going to deviate. So when we first came into the movement, this is a true story. I thought that the prayer life that the other couples so beautifully portrayed to us was just Monday through Friday. I thought we had weekends off. And so I really did. I really did. I really did. And so when they said, well, we'd love for you to do this apostolate called Familia. And I said, oh, and and so anyway, they had trainings on Saturdays. No, not Saturdays, that's our day off. We don't pray, we don't work, we just live our lives. And so I went through that for about a year. My team leader just sort of said, well, she took me aside and she said, actually, we do this every day. You pray every day? Yes. We pray every day. Okay. So that was a little hard for me. So I went from Familia and prayer into the apostolate. And I saw firsthand, for the first time really ever, what it was to bring Christ, as little as I knew, to others, and how they loved it. And they were dying for it. And Familia was a great entry apostolate because you see fruit so quickly, because the women that were in our teams were just absorbing everything and loving it and learning so much. And so it was a great first apostolate. And so anyway, so I'm going to go and do the second quote from Apostolic Activity. Who wrote this? The Pope. Oh, the Pope, yes. The Pope wrote this. Is this the same?
Same as what?
Okay, this is Apostolic Activity. Which one? Okay, I can't say.
You want to
From 2010, yes. Sorry. I didn't need these when I first incorporated, but now I do. Okay, so Apostolic Activity from the Pope. As sharers in the role of Christ as priest, prophet, and king, the laity have their work cut out for them in the life and activity of the church. Their activity is so necessary within the church communities that without it, the apostolate of the pastors is often unable to achieve its full effectiveness. In the manner of the men and women who helped Paul in spreading the gospel, the laity with the right apostolic attitude, we'll get to that later, the right apostolic attitude supply what is lacking to their brethren and refresh the spirit of pastors and of the rest of the faithful. Strengthened by active participation in the liturgical life of the community, they are eager to do their share of apostolic works of that community. They bring to the church people who perhaps are far removed from it, earnestly cooperate in presenting the Word of God, especially by means of catechetical instruction, and offer their special skills to make the care of souls and the administration of the church more efficient and effective. So, that quote, I need these again. Okay, but I just wanted to read that part again because I think the laity with the right apostolic attitude supply what is lacking to their brethren and refresh the spirit of pastors and of the rest of the faithful. So that's what our apostolic activity is supposed to be doing, is refreshing the church. We're supposed to bring that vigor that Father was speaking of, that vigor that you saw in the seminarians. That's what I saw when I first came incorporated into Regnum Christi. I saw zeal, passion. I saw great charity. I saw just this awesome, overwhelming desire to serve. And that's really what apostolate is. It's to serve. And so Mike's going to do the rest.
Thank you. Okay, back on script. All right, so we're going to move from the quotes to some of the observations that we made when we kind of try to boil it all down, this life of apostolate in the movement. For those who are new and even those old and those who are kind of rejoining the movement in spirit, what does Regnum Christi offer? What's the specific value that Regnum Christi offers the apostolate? And we thought of three key things. The first is that in the movement there is what I would call a culture of apostolate. It's developed, it's nurtured, it's bred in the bone, it's communicated in the teams. You hear about it when the priest talks. If you read anything that's from the movement, it mentions it. So there's this, I think we kind of don't really appreciate how unique that is. That we're urged, we're motivated, we're supported, and we're really inspired to do. And that's unique in the church. And so that culture of apostolate is really part of the movement and really helps us in those times when we don't feel like it. The second is there are a lot of others in the movement who have been doing it for a while, and they can serve as what amount to mentor couples or mentor individuals. People that you can look up to, people that have been in the trenches, who have kind of been through what you're about to go through. And we, many times in our lives, have done just that. We've talked to people, we've watched them, we've actually asked for their insight and their guidance, and that having those mentor couples, those apostolic mentors, is really important. And lastly, spiritual direction. Having a director who understands the interplay between the contemplative and the conquering, your prayer life and your apostolic life, and giving you good guidance, a kick in the pants when you need it, and a nice pat on the back and somewhere in between, that's really important. And if you bring that transparency to spiritual direction, you will be revivified in your apostolic life, and so that you won't, when things get dry and hard, you won't give up. And so as the fourth thing we wanted to mention with regard to this was those of you have your binders or whatever, those little things. The back of it has a list of apostolates, which we put together with the help of Father Daly. And we broke them up into 3 different categories. Those are the RC apostolates, kind of RC-inspired apostolates, and then really leverage-oriented parish apostolates. So, and these are things, some of them are new, but many of them have been ongoing. And the members of the movement have participated in all 3, as have Mary and I. And so one of the things, from the very beginning for us, the movement has always asked us to do more. It's asked us to help more in our parishes and also help the movement more. It's always been about helping across all fronts, or helping in this case when we helped the Archdiocese years ago get the Eucharistic Congress. That was, for a while, for 2-3 years, it was all Regnum Christi doing nothing but working for the Archdiocese, for those of you who go back that far. And that was a perfect example of how the movement's always been about helping the parish and the diocese as well as itself. And so I just ask you to pursue that. Those of you who've got that apostolic gap in your life right now, are looking to pick up something else, just thumb through those items and maybe possibly contact the person and say, hey, help me get involved. You're back to quotes if you want to.
Oh, okay.
And whatever you want to do off script.
Okay, I'm the quote girl today. That's my role.
If you want to do in the New Testament.
Okay, thank you. When you're looking for authority in your talk, you always go to the catechism. So, when I first read this, I didn't realize it was from the catechism, and I thought it was from Father Maciel. I thought it sounds just like that. And yet it's from the catechism, and it's who we are. And so for us to read it in the catechism, it tells us that we are in Regnum Christi doing exactly what the church has asked of us. We're doing exactly what the Pope wants. We are in the heart of the church and firmly rooted there. So I'll read from the catechism and tell me you don't hear Regnum Christi all over this. The whole church is apostolic, in that she remains, through the successors of St. Peter and the other apostles, in communion of faith and life with her origin, and in that she is sent out into the whole world. All members of the church share in this mission, though in various ways. The Christian vocation of its nature, a vocation to the apostolate. Indeed, we call an apostolate every activity of the mystical body that aims to spread the kingdom of Christ over all the earth. So, number 863. And so what I wanted to, we were going to do talk a little bit about apostolate that we've done. After we were here and we were formed and brought up in Regnum Christi, and we were in the movement about 2 years, and we moved to Tampa. And we were very excited. It's a very small, there were 4 women at the time. And because I was the old girl, having been in the movement for 2 years, I was elected team leader, which is very funny. And so I went into this very excited, not realizing all the dynamics that had been going on. And so there were a lot of dissension in this little group of 4 women. They were trying to start a school, and I just thought, well, it's okay. Well, it'll all be good. We'll have encounters, and I'll give team dialogue, and it'll be great. And then they'll love me, and I'll love them, and all those things will smooth over once I realized that there were some issues. So a little time went on, and it got worse. Not better, and we didn't get spiritual direction, and that's another plug for staying in touch with your spiritual director, because we would get somebody about every 6 months. Father Scott Riley used to come down about every 6 months, and that's not sufficient when you don't know what you're doing. It's not sufficient at all. And so what you do, because I was a noob, I relied on myself. That's what you go to. When you knew that all your life, and you've only been in the movement 2 years, you go to yourself to project what you know you're supposed to be projecting. And so that's what I did, and it got worse. And one day I was reading something in one of our old books, And it was very helpful. And it was talking about a Eucharistic heart and how the heart of an apostle has a Eucharistic heart. I said, oh, that's beautiful. I'm going to give that to my ladies, on my team, and we're all going to just have a Eucharist. We'll have a holy hour, and it'll be awesome. And so, anyway, I went, and 2 ladies showed up. And but in that holy hour that we did, it dawned on me for the first time, and I think it was Dan who was reading in his, not your breviary, what was it?
Missile.
Thank you. I forgot what I was going to say.
Daily prayer. Daily Mass.
Daily Mass, yes, that's what it was. Sorry. Daily Mass. And like Dan, it was like, oh, because remember, I was the girl that thought that you prayed Monday through Friday. So I also missed that part about going to Mass every day. And so I said, oh, well, okay, I was expecting our 5th baby. Mike was traveling, and I was like, every day. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'll do it. And I did. And every day we went, and we did that. We went to Mass every day for 2 hours. 2 years as a family. 2 years. It was the most beautiful 2 years I ever had. And it was unbelievable, the gifts and the grace that came to myself, to our family, to this lovely group of women, and to the section. And in that 2 years, and I know it's not me, it was God, because I tried to do it on my own, and that didn't work. Through Christ, through the Eucharistic heart, we grew. Even with all of that, that going on in the team, we grew. Because everybody was started to do the same thing. We all started, okay, so then more and more people were coming to the adoration, more and more women were starting to go to Mass, and we grew, and we grew, and we grew in Tampa. And we didn't get huge, but we were growing, and it was because of that Eucharistic heart. It was having a Eucharistic heart, and I understood from that moment, and it's been a tremendous blessing, because we've had a lot of apostolates, some that didn't go so well. We're getting okay, sorry. We have a few more minutes, so I'll be fast. A Eucharistic heart is the source of all apostolic activity. And you can go a long time on your own personality, because many of us, all of you, have awesome personalities. You can go a long ways on just your personality. But we need that Eucharistic heart to persevere in the apostolate. So, sorry. That's okay. You have to be fast.
Okay, we'll skip my testimony.
Okay.
See, I can call an audible too,
Sorry.
All right, so we're gonna conclude with some thoughts from this letter of Pope Benedict's written 2 years ago called Ubri Cumque et Semper. So all of you Latin majors out there, that means everywhere and always, as Mary said. And anyway, the letter, the reason that Pope Benedict wrote this letter is he was trying to put some muscle behind the concept of the new evangelization. Some of you have read Pope John Paul's writings and encyclical on that, and he was very, theological. And so I think what Pope Benedict was trying to do is put some framework behind that, put some Vatican-oriented muscle, if you will. And so what this letter does, for those of you who didn't know, is it establishes a dicastery in the Roman Curia. So that's kind of like a department. And the name of it is now the Pontifical Council for Promoting the New Evangelization. So he put an entire new organizational structure of the church behind the new evangelization, which is apostolate. And there's a cardinal and all the other jazz that work in this. The purpose of this council, if you read the letter, is to encourage reflection on topics of the new evangelization and to identify and promote suitable ways and means to accomplish apostolate and to make known and promote the groups of the faithful and in the new communities. So it's actually a connecting point for all of the movements throughout the world in doing apostolate. All so that the work that we do is actually going to be rolled up and coordinated over time. And if you get into the letter, it all talks about the pastors need to also understand that this is something that's coming at them, with them, for them, through them, on them, around them. So it's trying to help them help themselves in their communities. And so for us, this letter kind of tied it off, and that it helps underscore that this aspect of the movement's charism, even though it was enunciated a long time ago, was really completely in line with the inspiration of Vatican II and of the subsequent letters and such and inspirations of Pope John Paul and Pope Benedict. So anyway, that's all we have to share with you. I hope you guys enjoy the questions that have been prepared in the binder. Thank you.